Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Elconin, and welcome to Premarket Info.
It is option expiration today. You know what that means? It means there'll be more volatility off the hop, so expect a little bit of opening volatility and usually some volatility at the close as well. GE and Morgan Stanley both beat earnings, and they're both up substantially here in the pre-market. Intel, Capital One both disappoint. Capital One really getting beat up. AT&T lowers Q4 guidance, takes a charge. Not that pretty of a day for AT&T, but the overall market here, Joel, kind of quiet considering how much GE is up this morning.
Can you believe that? 79 cents in the pre-market.
22.08.
Yeah, look at it, a 22.12 high. Monster resistance at $22. You had a double top December 21.91, 21.95. I mean, holy smokes! I mean, if this thing opens over 22, I'd be surprised. And if it does open up,
it's a lot of air.
Yep. Well, if it goes up, like let's say it opens up at 22 and goes up another nickel or a dime. Let's say you don't want to short it off the hop. If it opens up at 22, rallies another nickel or dime, and then comes back down through that open, I think that's maybe where you want to attempt to short it at.
22 is your key swing number, is what you're telling me.
Oh, huge. It's like the number of the year already.
Number of the year, $22 a bit. Trading 22.10 actively right now. Trade a lot of volume, 1.7 million. I'm not really sure where this one goes. I'm going to sit back. It is option expiration today. We have to consider that. And often what happens off the bat is you see these stocks get a little bit of push on the opening print. A lot of times they open up. I'd say like 4 out of 6 days on these option expirations. It tends to skew the stocks a little bit too high off the bat. It can sometimes give you a decent arbitrage opportunity off the hop too. But it's hard to say with General Electric because the 22 is a key number. But like you said, above there's not really that much until 22.5. So it could thin up. But like you said, this is a really heavily traded stock. It's up 80 cents. You think when it could be one of those that opens high and gives back some right off the bat.
Right, and I'd like to see the quants, the statistical analysis of the time that GE's opened up almost $1 and continued to rally. I mean, maybe when it was a higher price stock it did that, but this is just so many standard deviations out of the norm. You got to imagine some short-term players going to be playing it from the short side.
Morgan Stanley also reported, and they blew numbers away. I'm telling you, 45 cents against estimates of 27, just like Goldman did. They blew the numbers away. It's trading up $1.25, $1.30 now this morning at 22.04. Closed at 20.75, a new high on the move for Morgan Stanley. We got to go out to the weeklies to try to find any resistance at all. Joel, where's the resistance?
Well, 22.40 is what it hit in the pre-market. We pulled off 40 cents for that. That might be it on the upside. Going to the monthly charts, you haven't been at this level in a long, long time. August of 2011, we trade 22.86, but good thing I wasn't in real early this morning because I was at the gym and I saw this thing trading 21.75. And I thought it was a little bit overdone at that point. Then lo and behold, I get in here into the office, and it's traded up to the 22.40 level. So 22.40 would be a good mark on the upside. 22.86 is that year-and-a-half high.
Intel surprisingly reported earnings right before the bell yesterday. They slipped out about 4 minutes early. The earnings were 48 cents against estimates of 45, so they beat. You can see all this chop right on the last 2 minutes of trade as the earnings reported. Interesting enough, what it does is it gapped up and it went up after hours just initially, but then they started looking into the details of the report, and then they started seeing stuff they didn't like. Stock ended up closing at 22.68. It's now down at 21.32 on 2.3 million shares. So they are taking Intel back behind the woodshed and beating it.
Yeah, like a red-headed stepchild. 23.06 is the high from yesterday. People got a little bit excited there. That coincides with some highs that you had back in October, 22.90. And then reality set in here, and the sell-off began. You've made a low in the pre-market recently at 21.24. You kind of getting a rounding bottom here, just looking at the pre-market parameters. Also going to the dailies, you had five lows, six lows in a row between 2102 and 2120.
Yep.
That coincides with the pre-market activity. Maybe looking for some shorts to bring in something there. So I'm looking at that as pretty good support. But what do you think? You think someone like hacked into the Intel servers and got the information before it got to the
Probably.
news services?
Probably.
Is
Well,
that
well, there's a lot of companies out there. They will literally ping this whole site. They just continuously hit the site looking for the release of the numbers, because a lot of times what happens is these companies will release the report on the website a few minutes before, and then they send out the link at 4 o'clock. But if you're like hacking it, or if you're just pinging at the site, just trying to find it on the web, sometimes you can find it before there's actually a link to the site. Or to the page, and obviously if you can interpret that, you can have a pretty good edge there too. I don't know if they interpreted it right, because it actually popped off the bat, so maybe they got beat up for their tactics, I'm not sure. But what ended up happening, obviously it sold off afterwards. So the Intel, they haven't really said why that exactly got released, but I know that has happened in the past, where you get these programs that are just pinging the servers trying to find the information before anyone else. $21 huge on this thing. Capital One Financial getting murdered here in the pre-market. I have a trading position on in the stock for full disclosure. 61.59 is where it closed. It's trading down at 57.45. They missed estimates big time. $1.41 against estimates of $1.58. Stock, where's the low in the pre-market here, Joel?
we got a low here at 56.60.
Okay, look at where that's coinciding with too. I know you're going to point out
Is
all
that
those lows.
amazing or what?
Yep.
Yeah, look at all those bottoms you had around that area.
December.
Since you've hit that 56.60, you've got a slow grind north here. Just kind of getting up towards the $58 area now. That is going to act as pretty good resistance. You just got to be cognizant of these lows that you had quite a while ago in the $56 area, 56.33, 56.70. That would be your major support level.
AT&T guides Q4 a bit lower here. Announced a charge. How much was the charge there, Joel? Do you have that?
Just a $10 bill.
$10 billion charge. So not pretty for AT&T this morning. They're actually getting beat up. So while GE is helping the Dow, AT&T is hurting it. Stock trading at 32.88 this morning after closing at 33.20. Man, this trade, I'm going to look at this, and when it went ex-dividend back in October, went to the highs and sold off for 5-6 consecutive days after going ex-dividend. It did the same damn thing here again, 2013. Ran up for 4 or 5 days, goes ex-dividend right here, and the stock comes all the way back down 8-9 days in a row. We are coming into decent support here. I'm looking at the chart. You had some lows in November, 32.71, 32. Are they both 32.71? Yeah, they are 32.71. So you kind of got a double bottom down here. We're 17 cents away from there. Can we find some support at that level?
We did hit 32.53 in the pre-market, 32.71. So, I mean, on the other hand, where you had, the GE, trading 1.6 million, you don't have a lot of volume here associated with this sell-off. So I think this is a little bit overdone. It's funny because last night I was, looking through stocks and, looking for a blog, and I came up with the title, "Time to Buy Tea." And I was basing it, coming into these to these lows at 32.71. Now you got the news, the negative news about the write-off. So I'll like to see what happens at this 32.70 level down to 32.50. I think if you can hold that for a couple days, you might be able to figure that the bad news was already in. If it can't hold that area, you do have some room on the downside, down, perhaps to the $30 level. Reevaluate.
Verizon having a sympathy move here this morning. It is trading down as well. Only 15 cents, 41.98 after closing at 42.13. Same scenario, back in October, ran up before the dividend, goes ex-dividend, sells off. Did the same thing here in 2013, ran up for a few days before the ex-dividend. That's the high. Stock goes ex-dividend. It's been straight down since then. Support's a bit lower on this one, though. I know you have that low that you could point out from 41.50 just from 2 days days ago. But you got this low down at 40.51 on the 16th. That's where your major support is. What's your take here?
Yep, double bottom, 41.50, 41.51. You pointed out the low of the move at 40.51. I mean, sometimes when you get these moves, sometimes these sympathy move works. Other times it's company specific. I think this time it may be company specific to AT&T because you got a whopping 1,700 shares trading on this news. So I think I still have to put relevance at that 41.50 level. In the pre-market, it did sneak. Guess where the low in the pre-market is?
Where's the low?
41.50.
These lows, these levels work, man. Even in the pre-market trade, they try to find where they're heading, and they often do hit where an old low or an old high on the other side ends up being. So checking out these lows and highs, they sometimes do have some relevance. Research in motion, another analyst jumping on the bandwagon here this morning. Jeffries upgrading the stock. 1577 is trading up 5.8% right now, breaking out. So they had that terrible earnings report. Stock got killed, went from 15 down to basically 1050 in 2 days, and it's got all that back and more now, trading up near the high of the move, or over the high of the move now.
Yeah, we did cross the $16 threshold in the pre-market, 16.05 for the Rimster. We have pulled back, but only slightly on that since making that 16.05 high. We've come down and found support at 15.65. So if you're playing this off the hop on the long side, look out below 15.65. Could look to fill the gap. $16 level, way ahead of the high of the move. Might be some paper kicking around at that area, so we'll use 16 to 16.05 as resistance points. You have to go back until February of 2012 to get your next major resistance level, and that's up at 1734. But I don't think we'll see that today.
The cat is on the prowl, getting upgraded at Piper Jaffray. Caterpillar is up 70 cents here this morning. Breaking out to a new high here too, 96.45 trading this morning after closing at 95.70.
What an ugly looking chart.
Ugly? I hope you're being sarcastic.
I am. Look at that. You had that gap up along with everything else at the beginning of the year. And now this one was a gap and go. I mean, really the only parameters I could give our traders here in the pre-market is the pre-market high, and that is at the 96.60 level. Above that, things are pretty wide open. I really am stumped on this one.
Yeah, well, you had so much consolidation here. We've had a lot of consolidation for 7 or 8 trading sessions here. I don't know. I got this feeling that this thing's eventually going to make a run for the $100 number there again. I don't think obviously it's going to get there today, but over the course of the
8,500 shares, 8,500.
Yeah, it's traded very light volume. It is on an upgrade from Piper Jaffray. That's just a significant brokerage house. So wouldn't surprise me if the momentum continues a little bit, and if this thing over the next week or two tries to actually make a run for the $100 level. Amazon getting upgraded, small company, Pacific Crest, but I want to talk about the stock because we haven't talked about it for a while. Here's a stock that actually made a new high, I think it's a new all-time high if I'm not mistaken, 4 days ago at 274.26. Joel, check that just to make sure.
Yep.
270.233, so it's up a couple bucks on this upgrade. Everybody asks themselves, how can Amazon keep going up? The PE is like 90 or something compared to an Apple PE of 10. Well, I don't know if it matters. Like, fundamentals just don't seem to matter in this market as much as momentum does, and this thing has the momentum. It's made a new high. It's consolidated nicely here for the last 10 trading sessions and starting to look good on the chart here again.
Yep, 273 is what we hit in the pre-market. You're correct in noting that all-time high that we hit a few days ago, 274.26, those are your resistance level. A big 16,000 shares just traded in that stock, so not a lot of volume associated with this move. I see minor support here at the 271.50 level. If, in fact, we do take out 271.50, look for a test at the close at 270.48.
Speaking about Apple here trading down $1 this morning, 502.68 where it closed. It's down a buck 45, a 501.23. Had a very quiet trading session yesterday, considering the big move that it had up the previous trading session. It was only an 8-point range for Apple there, or an 8.5-point range yesterday. It's been quiet here this morning. It's just hanging above that $500 level. I've got to think I want to see it continue to march here. If it doesn't get above that 510 today, I'm going to start getting real nervous on this one again.
497 and a quarter is where we sold off to after the close. Got a rebound off that. I don't know for what reason, up to 503.24. That's a little bit above the close. Keep an eye on that area. 502.68 to close. Up to 503.24 is good resistance. Coming back on the downside, I tell you, under 500. Besides the pre-market low that you had at 490, pre-market low at 498.93. No, I'm sorry, real bad. 497 and a quarter. There's not a lot in there, but boy, it just doesn't sit. I mean, there's just no news just to keep this stock, get it going on a rebound.
Yeah, like we said, when it starts getting in that 510, 515 area, you've got so many people and traders that have squared up positions there. It's kind of becomes like a little bit of a short-term wall. So it got to that 510.75 high yesterday and sold straight off from there. So a little bit nervous here from an Apple perspective. I think, you had to cut through the 500, shake some people out. Then you want to shake out the shorts. The market likes to punish the maximum amount of participants. So it cuts through the 500, shake out the longs. Cuts back up over the 500, shake out the shorts. Then it's a matter of which, who's got the most positions. They always, like I said, wants to punish the maximum amount of participants. So if people are starting to think, oh, well, maybe Apple's okay again, they start picking up long, it'll probably tank. So it always does exactly, seems like opposite of what you're thinking. So I just think I want to see the stock start to follow through, and if it doesn't, if it starts to cut through 500 here again, which it is kind of doing in the pre-market, I think I get nervous.
Yeah, and just to talk about the Googster, I mean, we do talk about these stocks in tandem a lot. The Goog has come down to fill the gap from the beginning of the year that it had, and that's very interesting. It's the market has continued to march with the two of the leading tech stocks in the Big Ten,
not doing well.
Along with IBM, just not doing much. You got a little bit of a rally in Microsoft, and obviously some of the oils have been strong, but it's the financials that have been carrying this
Financials
market.
were, and then obviously we had some bad news from the financials yesterday. Morgan Stanley helping them a bit this morning, but it's rotation. Now you get stocks like Caterpillar breaking out to new highs again. It just seems to be always somebody picking up the slack. So there's a lot of rotation happening in this market. It's a stock picker's market, and that's really what it should be about. I mean, over the last couple of years, we've been saying how correlations have been coming closer and closer together. Well, they haven't in the last 6 months. They've been separating. It's becoming a stock picker's market, so you've got to look at which stocks are breaking out, which stocks are breaking down. Buying the strong ones and selling the weak ones has been working. What do you think this overall market here, though? We obviously had a breakout day yesterday, got up to 1480.5, peeled back near the close. Here we are, just very quiet overnight range, 1478 the high, 1474 and a quarter the low. Can we get up, test that 1480, start breaking out here again today, Joel?
Why not? Why not? I mean, I don't see, any disasters, that, would stop us from doing that. 1480.50 was Thursday's high. Not seeing a lot of resistance above that level. You have to go back to November of 2007, and you had a high in the SPOOs at 1487.75. So not going to go straight up 7 points, but that's going to be your next major resistance point. Really have nothing to quantify this market stopping at 1474 and a quarter. But it did. I think if you're playing the short side early this morning, keep an eye on yesterday's intraday low of 1470 and a quarter. That'll be your first support point. After that, things open up quite a bit. But just if you're long, you've been catching this market, the SPOOs or whatever, pick a low from a couple days ago and put a stop in and let the market take you out.
That's our show for today. We got a long weekend ahead. Martin Luther King Day on Monday. Markets will be closed, but we'll be back with you guys on Tuesday.